Here it is. This meeting is being recorded. Okay.
Yeah, wonderful. Jai Baba, everybody. Welcome to another Thursday night of Lord Meher. I'm so happy to have you all here, and I hope you'll enjoy this reading as much as we do. So, we're going to start from where we left off last week. And yeah, Rosalie, go ahead.
Am I reading? What? So we're in 1942.
Yeah. Yeah.
Baba and the four men, Adi Sr., Gustachi, Kaka, Baidu, left Katgodam on 22nd July 1942 and went to Berali, where he again contacted the Saint Bashir Mian and spent the night at a hotel. They reached Najibabad at 6:15 the next evening and went from there to the small village of Sahanpur, some distance away in two Tongas. The Tonga had to wade through a small lake, and their seats and clothes got drenched. Baba changed into some of Adi's clothes until his own dried. All Baba's strenuous efforts were well spent, for in Sahanpur, Baba found a young must of 30 years old called Gani Baba. The must's parents confronted Baba, complaining they believed their son had gone insane and were terribly distraught about his condition. Baba calmed them, explaining to them that their son was, in fact, spiritually advanced and not insane. He blessed the must's parents, reassuring them that they were fortunate to have such a saintly son. Two other musts were contacted at Saharpur. Baba vomited 3 times. Wow. Once before and then after each contact. Returning exhausted to Najibabad, the same night they slept on the railway station platform. Do you want to give me more words, Mona?
Yeah.
They slept on the railway station platform. As usual, the Mandali took turns keeping watch. During the night, at one point, 2 small urchin boys started walking towards them. Just as Adi held up his hand to motion the boys away, Baba woke up and, propped on his elbow, waved to the boys to come forward. He permitted them to lie down beside him on his bedding roll, covered them with his arm, and went back to sleep. Wow. The next day, Baba went back to Sahanpur, where he contacted Gani Baba again, and also Kali Kamliwala, before returning to Najibabad. Previously in Najibabad, a fat, naked must known as Riazuddin was contacted beneath a tree. As Baba was bidding farewell, the must said, "The work is finished." But on this day, when the must saw Baba, he started running away, and Baba followed after him for 3 miles. 2 hours of pursuit, however, did not change the must's reluctance to receive the beloved. Also contacted in Sahanpur was an old must, Tula Shah. Baba had coaxed him into a local shop for contact. This amazed the local villagers because this was the first known occasion during which Tula Shah had ever followed anyone's beckoning. When Tula Shah saw Baba on a later visit, he evaded Baba. Similarly to Riazuddin, by scurrying off into the wilderness outside the village where he could not be found. So, leaving each must to his whim, Baba contacted them in an invisible manner. I need more words.
Yes.
From Najibabad, Baba and his 4 companions took a train for Ajmer. On the way, Baba spoke about the number of musts in different countries. There are 2 lakhs, 200,000 of musts in India. There are 1,000 musts in Russia and 1,000 in China. In Europe, there are only a few musts. Musts in India are original, quotes, office workers, end quotes, spiritually. Those in Europe are agents who draw spiritual force from Indian must. In Rome, there is one very advanced must. The agents are linked with the original office bearers. Indian musts are officers in charge of regions. They also control the European regions through the agents. The Rome agent collects power from India and distributes it to the European agents. The Russian must and the Chinese must are like Indian original workers and, in addition, help the European must through the Rome distributor. The Russian, Chinese, and Indian must render reciprocal help. The dead souls from India who are spiritually degraded are reborn in the West. The West dead souls who are meritorious are reborn in India. And the Indian meritorious are reborn here to advance spiritually. The avatar is always born in Asia. Avatars are born only on one world, planet. As that world cools down and becomes uninhabitable, in the meantime, another world becomes life evolved and eventually replaces the first one. This is going on from time immemorial. There are crores of worlds. There was Chaitanya consciousness when the ocean was calm. When it moved, imagination started. Footnote.
Adi K. Irani's diary, 27-28 July 1942. Editor's note. In light of what Baba revealed about Mas elsewhere, it is possible that in this instance the term Mas and their various roles in India, Europe, Russia, and China includes the entire indirect and borrowed. Abdals, avatars, walis, purs, and other advanced souls, including Mas, charged with implementing the orders of the masters.
Baba and the four men reached Ajmer on Sunday, 26 July 1942. There, Baba and the men stayed at the King Edward Memorial Sarai. As it was later revealed, the only reason Baba visited Ajmer was to sit in seclusion at a certain spot for half an hour, but with a different purpose than the seclusion at Kasgodam. Baba remarked, I will work here directing human sufferings in the war so that they will bear ultimate good. First, however, Baba went to contact Chacha. But as the must was reticent, Baba went again the next morning at 4 a.m. with Baidul and Kaka. That day, 5 musts were brought to the hotel where Baba contacted and fed them. Baba then traveled nearby to Pushkar, where, near the Pushkar Lake, in an old, abandoned, dilapidated palace, he found a room in which to remain in seclusion. Baba sat in pin drop silence, posting the 4 men in all directions as guards. Afterwards, he looked unusually pleased and spiritually refreshed. According to Baba, my work was done quite satisfactorily. I feel as if a load has been lifted off my head. As he walked out of the old palace, a parade celebrating the festival of Guru Purnima passed by on the road. Baba remarked, it is a significant coincidence making the end of my seclusion here. On his return from Pushkar, he stopped and handed a coin to a sadhu who lived in a small house on the roadside. Can our limited human intellect accept the fact that the avatar journeyed hundreds of miles just to sit in a certain spot at a certain time in seclusion for half an hour? Age wondered what he did during this half an hour. He alone knew. What is time and space to the perfect one? 30 minutes is a long time for such a being who could dissolve the universe in the twinkling of an eye and create another in its place. Chacha was again contacted at 11:30 p.m. on the 28th, and Baba sat with him for 20 minutes and was highly pleased with the work accomplished. They left for Delhi by train the following night and arrived the next morning, staying at the Nizam Hotel. Chanji met them there and brought them a meal from Keki Desai's. Later, Jal Karawala arrived and met Baba, just as Baba was leaving for Dehradun. Chanji and Adi Sr. were instructed to remain in Delhi to contact different political leaders, including Feroz Khan Noon and Jogendra Singh, on Mayor Baba's behalf and deliver his messages for them to read. They were then to go to Bombay and do the same there. Footnote.
Firoz Khan Noon later became Prime Minister of Pakistan, another senior leader of the Indian independence movement. Maulana Azad was contacted in Bombay.
Baba, Gustaji, and Baidu returned to Dehradun, where Baba resumed his work of contacting must. Irene Billow had fallen seriously ill in Dehradun, and Nilu was told to treat her. She suffered from catatonic fits. To revive her during an episode, Margaret Crask would massage her feet, toes, and hands while Nilu gave her an injection. On the 4th, the saintly Uderman Mustan from Katgodam was brought to Dehradun, where he stayed for the next 3 weeks. Baba would bathe and feed the must each day and work with him in seclusion. The must smoked cigarettes continuously. From the 5th, Baba began eating only once a day, which he said he would continue for a month, remaining upstairs at Prem Bhawan from 7 a.m. until noon, and with the Mandali from 2 until 7 p.m. Don was allowed to visit from Bangalore. During his 3 week stay, Baba sent him to Hardwar, Rishikesh, and Mussoorie to visit sites associated with Baba's work. More
All right,
words.
thanks. I'll read and then you read again, Rosalie. Okay? Thanks.
Yeah.
A week after Baba returned from his 3 week tour on 7th August 1942, Allied forces composed mostly of American Marines landed on Guadalcanal in the Pacific, initiating the Allies' first major offensive against the Japanese Empire. Baba dictated on 3rd August 1942 the following message, which was published in the September issue of an Indian magazine for youth, Comrade. It is the privilege of the youths to be full of energy and hope, not being caught up in any grooves. Their dreams about the future have the advantage of being inspired by unfettered imagination. In the glow of a newborn love or in the warmth of newly caught enthusiasm, they are quick to respond to the call for action and self sacrifice. Life would be poorer without these qualities. Sorry. Yeah. Which are predominantly present in youth. But if the youths are to derive the full benefit of the qualities with which they are abundantly endowed, they must also try to acquire some other qualities which are rare in young people. Hope should be fortified by a courage that can accept failure with equanimity. Enthusiasm should be harnessed by the wisdom that knows how to wait for the fruit of action with patience. Idealistic dreams about the future should be counterbalanced by a sense of the realities of the present. The glow of love should allow itself to be illumined by a free and unhampered play of reason. It is easy for youths to be so intent on realizing the ideal that they become bitter against the present and past. But it is all well to cultivate the spirit of idealizing the real and being appreciative of the heritage of the past. The world, as it is, may not seem to follow the pattern youths adore, but they must never forget that it is always good enough to merit their most loving attention. In their desire to improve the world, let them not surrender the right to be happy by becoming bitter. Youths love freedom, and as such, they have a natural impulse to rebel against all authority and bondage. All this is well and good, but let them make a real effort to keep free from the many illusions to which young people are particularly susceptible. True self expression does not necessarily imply irreverence for others. True criticism does not necessarily imply hostility or separateness. Freedom without responsibility is a doubtful boon. Freedom is worth having only where there is self restraint and willingness to cooperate with others. Youths are always willing to act and take risks. Let them freely yield to this fearless and imperative urge of life with them. But while realizing action, let them take every care that it is creative and not merely destructive. Let their watchwords always be love and service. A month passed in Dehradun with Baba, mainly working in seclusion with Udairman Mastan and spending time each day with the Mandali. From 20th August, Baba fasted on water for 3 days and then resumed his one meal a day fast. At one point, Baba decided to move his seclusion towards Maharashtra and sent instructions about hiring bungalows. This was arranged in Lonavala. So Baba, with men and women Mandli, entrained for Lonavala on Thursday, 10th September 1942. The women in Lonavala numbered about 30 because of the later inclusion of Gulmai, Pilamai, Sila, Amawas, Nargis, Gulmasi, Gaimai, Manu, and Mehru Jaisawala. In addition to the resident women, Mehra, Mani, Khorshid, Sona Masi, Mansari, Irene, Margaret, Kitty, Rano, and so forth. Keki Desai was tasked with reserving a boogie for Baba and the Mandali, and also to bring food for everyone to Delhi station. Keki and his wife Dhoon had brought along their neighbor's little daughter. Baba asked Dhoon whether the girl was their daughter. When Dhoon told him who the child was, Baba further asked her, "Are you fond of children? Do you want one?" Dhoon replied that though she liked children, she didn't want one just then. They had only been married 2 years. Baba counseled her, "Whenever you want a child, think of me. I will give you a baby who should be named Meher." And he placed his hand on Dhoon's head in blessing. It was not until 10 years later that the Desais had a daughter whom they considered as Baba's gift and, according to his instructions, named Meher. In the train on the way to Lonavala, there was a frightening incident, as Meherwan Jaisawala relates. We were all in a compartment when Baba suddenly became very pale. Unable to lift his hands and feet, his eyes were open, but he appeared totally drained of blood. And if he was passing away, he lay there helpless, unable to move, and totally limp. All rushed forward to revive him. Rano administered a few drops of coramine, a central nervous system stimulant, and within a few minutes, Baba recovered. Meherwan concluded. During times of great internal work, Baba would suffer such spells. Footnote: Bill De Page, The Divine Humanity of Meher Baba Foundation, Australia, 2002, Volume 1, page 25. Hmm. Baba and the women and men Mandali arrived in Ahmednagar at 10 o'clock on the morning of 12th September. The Sata family at Akbar Press had been informed beforehand that Gaimai's sister Shireen Damania and her 16-year-old daughter Mehru should be on the railway station to meet the group with lunch for all. But Baba ordered that no one else from the Sata family be present. Uh, Eva, would you like to read from here?
Sure. Where do I start?
I've highlighted it. It had been almost 2 from
Okay.
here. Thank you.
Okay. It it had been almost 2 years since Bob had been available to his lovers, and they thirsted for sight of him and for his guidance and personal advice. Baba had previously stated that his present period of seclusion would end with the termination of his Himalayan tour, but he again extended it. Accordingly, Shirin and Nehru were at the train station, and Baba and the women went to the waiting room where they sat down for lunch. Baba turned to Nehru, Damanya, and asked, "Have you forgotten anything?" She immediately remembered she had left vegetables cooking on the stove at Akbar Press. She told Baba, adding frantically, "It must have burnt to a crisp by now." Baba sent Adi Sr. to bring the vegetables. The gas stove had somehow extinguished itself, and the dish was saved. Baba and the group left Ahmednagar at 2 p.m. for Lonavla, arriving later the same day. Sarosh drove Baba and some of the women in his car. Erich drove the others in a bus, and the other Mandali went by train, arriving at midnight. The women stayed in Mr. Dastor's bungalow, called Karanja Bungalow, Ketta House, for a fortnight, and thereafter at Mrs. Dean's house, Prospect Lodge. The men were accommodated in a separate bungalow. Chanji had met Baba and the group at the Ahmednagar station and went with them to Lonavla. He had been staying in Bombay writing Baba's biography in Gujarati with the assistance of Papa Jasawala. In Lonavla, Baba himself read through the Gujarati manuscript, crossing out certain paragraphs from the material previously printed in the Gujarati newspaper Sanj Vartaman in 1926, which Baba wished omitted from the new book. Chanji returned to Bombay after some days. On 15th September 1942, Baba ordered all the Mandali with him and those at Meherabad, Nasik, and elsewhere not to touch any person of the opposite sex over 10 years old from that day until 15 February 1943, except in cases of emergency, accidents, or fire. Jalbai, Bayram, and Adi Jr. arrived from Pune the same day to see Baba. Jalbai and Bayram left at night, while Adi Jr. and Baba were driven to Pune by Ramju the next morning at 9 a.m. to see their mother. They returned the same afternoon by 3. On 24 September, Memo came to Lonavala and stayed with the women for a few days. One of Baba's early Mandali members, Rao Saheb Afsari, had moved to Lonavala from Bombay in January 1942. He was given the opportunity of serving Baba by arranging for both the men and women Mandalis food during their stay. He was overjoyed to be in Baba's proximity again, as he had been feeling sad during his past many years of separation. After some time, the Mandali began cooking for themselves. In Lonavala, Krishna and Venkoba Rao were given the duty of being a night watch. Krishna outside and inside Baba's room, and Venkoba Rao by the women's compound. Venkoba would sometimes doze during his night watch duties, and Baba had repeatedly warned him about it. One night, Baba called Krishna and motioned, "Go and see if Venkoba is awake or asleep." Krishna left and was horrified by the sight that met his eyes. Venkoba was sound asleep, and a poisonous snake was right next to him, ready to strike. Krishna grabbed a stick and struck the snake. This awoke Venkoba, who jumped to his feet. As Krishna was striking the snake, he heard Baba clap. Telling Venkoba to finish killing it, Krishna returned to Baba. Baba asked, "What was all the noise?" Krishna informed Baba about the snake, and Baba sent him back to see if Venkoba had killed it. Venkoba had, and when Baba was told, he sent for Venkoba and scolded him. "If you fall asleep again, you will be bitten by a snake. I won't save you next time." One night, when Krishna was sitting on watch inside Baba's room, at 11:30, Baba ordered him to sit outside and to make a round every half an hour. On his second round, Krishna spotted a large cobra. While killing it, he made some noise and Baba clapped. Krishna brought the snake and Baba complimented him. "You have done well. The snake will jump 3 lives." After 5 minutes, Baba called Krishna inside his room. He motioned, "Talk about something." Taken aback, Krishna did not know what to say. Baba then asked him, "Who am I?" "Meher Baba." "No, I mean previously." And scroll down, please. "I don't know," Krishna said. Baba spelled on the board, MERWAN. I was Mirwan. After that, I became Sadhguru Meher Baba. After that, Avatar Meher Baba. Then Baba said, "There are 2 Meher Babas." And Krishna did not understand what he meant. "How is it possible?" he asked. "You are sitting here. Where are 2 Meher Babas?" "No, there are 2, Baba insisted. I have not seen another one anywhere." Baba told him to go look at the wall, which was a typical whitewashed, plastered wall. "Look at the wall and tell me what you see." Krishna looked but responded, "Nothing, Baba." "Open your mind and look." "It's just a wall, Baba." Baba came and stood next to Krishna. He grabbed a lock of Krishna's hair, twisted it, and said, "Now see." On the wall, Krishna saw an exact replica of Baba's form. The image lasted only a few seconds. Baba asked, "Did you see it?" "Yes, Baba." Baba then explained, "There are two Meher Babas. When I take physical form, it is my reflection that descends. That is the avatar. I do not come. I am the beyond God. When I was Krishna, it was really my reflection. I am not that. I am the beyond God," he repeated. Krishna asked Baba something he had often wondered about. "Baba, previously you had taken birth for the Hindus as Ram and Krishna, then for the Christians as Jesus Christ, after that as Muhammad. Now you have come as a Zoroastrian. Have you come only for the Parsis?" "No, now I am for all," Baba replied. "This time I am the one for all, with only one teaching." "What is that teaching?" "Love me. No prayer, no meditation, only love me." "But we must have something to remember you by. You have me in the body. And after that, after you drop your body, that is why I say only love me. My prayer is that each and everything from top to bottom is contained in that prayer. Only love me. This prayer is enough for you. Are you for any religion?" And scroll down. "No religion. When the avatar takes birth, it is like the reflection on the wall. When he drops his body, the reflection disappears, but the wall, God, remains. It is eternal like myself." On Saturday, 19 September 1942, Baba explained about his work. Reality is, unreality is not. Unreality or nothing is in the air. My work, too, is in the air. And because of that, it looks to you uncertain. I often make changes. Several times I have repeated that this is my last fast. This is my last seclusion. This is my last must trip. And scroll down.
Thank you. Marvin, would you like to read next?
Still, all these lasts continue without an apparent end. I myself suffer infinitely and am harassed and troubled, especially in the must work, but I like it more than you can ever know. Because my work is so undecided, seemingly vague and indefinite, it is real work. In such great uncertainty, real work is being done. About God, he remarked, "It is totally wrong to say that God is. Only saying is true. By saying God is, he is limited in all this infinite show. To correct is with God makes it finite. To connect is with God makes it finite. And so only is real. But to describe this reality, he is called God." Baba wished to go into seclusion for his work for 15 days, and a bungalow 2 miles from Prospect Lodge was rented. It was called Glenview, and Baba moved there on Monday, 5th October 1942, with the 4 Mandali who had been with him at Kat Gadam, Kaka, Baidul, Gustaji, and Adi Sr. The remaining Mandali, Erich, Krishna, Masaji, Nilu, Venkobareo, and Vishnu, stayed in their quarters. Baba began fasting that day, taking only water and milkless tea. From the 6th, he began fasting on milk tea and dal, taken twice a day. On the 9th, according to Baba's instructions, Sidhu brought Muhammad Must to Lanavla from Meherabad. Baba also wanted Udarman Mastan in Lanavla, and Baidul was sent the day before to Katgodam to bring him. They arrived on 12th October, and Baba began working with these 2 musts and seeing no one else. Baba's schedule during his seclusion was as follows. 6 a.m., Baba would come out of his room. 7 a.m., bath. 8 a.m., tea. 8:30 to 11:30 a.m., work in seclusion in his room with the 2 musts, Muhammad and Udarman Mastan. 12 noon to 4 p.m., rest. 4 to 5 p.m., again work in seclusion with the 2 musts. 5 p.m., meet Vishnu and scroll. Vishnu came daily and met Baba for a few minutes to discuss accounts or requirements of those staying in Glenview. Erich also came when called. On 8th October 1942, Baba dictated the following circular, which he ordered sent to his close lovers. I want every intimate member of my Mandali to be ready for a call any day between the 15th of November and the 15th of December 1942 to join me, to be physically with me and near me, with the object of sharing my universal work and helping my forthcoming mission of spiritualizing the world according to my special instructions to each individually and general instructions to all collectively. Next page. The circular was typed and dispatched the following day. 4 days later, on the 12th, Baba dictated a similar message in which he stated that those ready to obey and join him when called should sign the circular and return it to him. Nilu was permitted to come with Vishnu and Erich from the 11th, and Masaji also saw Baba briefly that day at 3 p.m. Baba fasted the next day on water and milkless tea, and then broke his fast at midnight with a little rice and dal. Although Baba was not seeing any outsiders, on 13th October 1942, he called Ramju to Lanavla from Nasik to discuss certain work. 3 days later, Udarman Mastan and Muhammad Must were taken by Sidhu back to Meherabad, where they were kept in the family quarters. Also on the 16th, Chanji was called with Arnavaz and Nargis Dada Chanji. Chanji returned to Bombay the next day, and Arnavaz and Nargis returned 4 days later. Goher also visited for a few days in October during her Diwali holidays for medical school. Arnavaz's family had previously consulted Baba about her marriage to her cousin Naraman, and Baba had approved the match. Baba informed Arnavaz that he would engage them formally after 2 months. Scroll. Meanwhile, G.Y. Dixit, a devoted follower and vice chancellor of Kolhapur University, invited Baba to participate in the opening of a new Montessori school. Because of his seclusion, Baba did not go. Instead, on Sunday, 18 October 1942, he sent Adi Sr. to deliver this message. The form of service that a Montessori school takes has practical value if one's service is rendered selflessly. It is an important task, as it deals with the infant's nature in the prime of its development. The children's carefree hearts and restless pranks reflect qualities which are divine, and they are blissful in their innocence. The task is to see how far you can make use of this divinity in man, expressed through the child God. A little patience, a little kindness, infinite understanding, and sweet love are the only things by which the teachers can repay for having received the usefulness of human service at its purest. My blessings to all those who are genuinely responsible for having this school opened, as much as to the children who will attend it. During Baba's seclusion in Glenview, he was paying particular attention to developments in the war. Next page. Each morning, he would anxiously ask to see the newspaper, as if to confirm the material effect his spiritual working was bringing about. It is noteworthy that during and immediately after this seclusion, the German forces, which had been advancing on all fronts, began retreating under the Allied offensive now being launched. Baba left his seclusion on Tuesday, 20 October 1942, to go on a 9-day Musk tour. The men Mandali staying with him moved back to their quarters, and Glenview was vacated. Baba left that day for South India by train with Kaka and Baidul. He made a slight detour to meet Don at Jolarpet for 2 hours at midnight. Baba spoke about the war and said, "The climax of the war will be in India because I, the Avatar, am here." Don recorded in his diary, "Baba was in excellent mood and we strolled about the station in the moonlight together." On 23 October, the day of the beginning of the Allied victory at El Alamein in North Africa, Baba again contacted the great Chari Baba in Nagapattinam. Baba continued his journey to recontact certain musts in Miraj, Andhapur, and Hubli before returning to Lonavala on the 29th. On his return, he took up residence in Kismet Lodge on Kandala Road. Ghani had been in Lonavala for the past 4 days, and Baba met him on his return. Ramju also returned on the 29th, and Baba discussed their upcoming family wedding between Ramju's son and Ghani's daughter. Both men left the following day. Later that day, Nilu gave a humorous demonstration to Baba of his stomach exercises to keep down his waistline, urging Baba also to begin doing the same for his waist. After 4 years of publication, Meher Baba Journal ceased functioning with the October 1942 edition. Since Elizabeth and Norina had left for America the previous year, the journal was being edited by Ghani, Ramju, and Adi Sr., first in Bangalore, and from May 1942 in Ahmednagar. At first, it was suspended only temporarily due to paper restrictions on account of war and the irregular and uncertain dispatch of mail to foreign countries, but publication was never resumed. Cause of Baba's seclusion, he had not been seeing the women Mandali, but on his return from his contact with Chati Baba in Nagapattinam, he began calling Mera and Mani to him at his residence. Next page. They were the only two allowed to see him. The other women saw him very infrequently during this period. Once when he was with Mera, Baba sent for Gai Mai and rebuked her in front of Mera. "What sort of chapatis are you preparing? Are your chapatis made from wheat or leather?" Gai Mai remained quiet, and Baba asked her to give a chapati to Meher to taste. Tasting it, Meher remarked, "This chapati is quite good, Baba." But Baba kept up his tirade against Gaimai, though he later explained to her, "Don't worry about what I've said. It is a mere pretense on my part in order to call you. Since I am seeing no one, I need some pretext as an excuse to see you." Along with Gaimai, Sultan, Nergiz, Katwal, and Sila were preparing chapatis for the group, while Katie and Manu were doing the cooking. Meher and Khorshid would prepare Baba's food, Kitty was supervising the household work, and Mani would do typing. Thus, Baba kept everyone engaged in one duty or another. Gaimai began making baked chapatis without oil, which all liked very much. But as this required more work, Nergiz was somewhat put out, and complained to Gaimai, "Is this a hotel? Everyone is eating with zest, but in the kitchen we are being suffocated by all the smoke." Baba happened on the scene during the altercation and intervened, correcting Nergiz. "Haven't you ever heard Mirabai's song, 'Make Me a Servant'? And I add, grind the flour, powder the chilies, and bake rice, hot chapatis." Nergiz was upset and countered, "I don't want to be a servant. I want to be a master. Make me a master so that I can drive around in a big car and enjoy life." Baba laughed and pointed to his head, gesturing, "Your screw is loose." For several days, the women found a few pair of their sandals missing. Baba had the watchman posted to catch the, quote, thief, and they found that it was a large, stray male dog. It had a skin disease, and its body was covered with bleeding sores. Meher took pity on it and sent word to Baba. Baba told Erich to find the dog. The animal, however, had wandered off, and Erich spent hours looking for it. Cursing the women to himself, he finally traced the dog, and with difficulty brought the mangy creature to Baba.
Thank you, Marvin. Jan, would you like to read from here? You can unmute yourself.
Thank you, Mona. It's disappeared from the screen. Baba told him to take, Baba told him to take the dog to the veterinarian every day for treatment. Krishna was instructed to care for it, and Baba named it Seifu. Krishna made a paste of sulfur, betel nut, and yogurt, which he applied to Seifu's skin. Baba saw the dog daily, overseeing its care and making sure Erich took it to the doctor on time. Seifu's suffering had brought it to God's feet. In 2 months, the reddish-brown dog was as sleek and fierce as a tiger. Seifu was subsequently brought to Meherabad with the group and given to Padri. Rano and one of...
I'll just read the footnote, Jan, from
Oh, yes,
just a minute.
sorry.
Thank you. Later, Seifu was mated with one of Padri's bitches. 2 of their first litter were given to Erich's sister Meru and named by Baba, Sadhu and Jogan, a female renunciant. Yeah, you could continue from here. Thank you, Jan.
Thank you, love. Rano and one of the maids from Arangown, Maruti Patil's daughter, Tara Dalvi, were given the work of cleaning the cooking pots in Lonavala. In Rishikesh, Rano had to carry the water to the house, and in Lonavala, her manual labor continued in washing the dishes. When the local children on the street happened to pass by their house, they were surprised to see a Westerner working in a menial fashion. Rano had short hair at the time and looked like a man. Hence, the children referred to her as Sahib. They would whisper to each other, "Look at that Sahib cleaning the pots. Why doesn't he hire a servant?" With Baba, high and low are all one and the same. The boss one day becomes a sweeper the next. On the 5th of November 1942, Chanji returned to Lonavala with Nariman Dadachanji, Dina, Talati, and a few others. Baba had a private talk with them about the proposed engagement of Nariman and Arnavaz. Pillamai, her son Vital, and Bailey arrived from Karachi on the 11th. Pillamai was to stay in Lonavala, and Vital and Bailey left the next day. On the 11th, Baba and some of the Mandali drove to Nasik to attend the wedding of Ramju's son, Bagu, to Gani's daughter, Bibi.
I'll read the footnote. Yeah. Bagu and Bibi were nicknames. Their real names were Abdul Rahman and Naja Munisa. Continue. Thank you.
Baba and Pendu went with Sarosh in his car, driven by him. Adi Sr. drove his Opel with Eridge, Adi Jr. and Sabak as passengers. Rao Sahab, Kakabaria, and Chanji had also come from Bombay. Baba returned to Lonavala late the same night. Bagu's 12-year-old brother Ali had his doubts about Baba's divinity. During the wedding, their older brother Dadu shot a short film, and Baba turned his head and raised his hands as Dadu was filming him. Ali saw this and thought, Baba is acting, so his picture will come out better. Were he really God, he would not care about such things. Prophet Muhammad never permitted his likeness to be depicted. Thus, Ali had his doubts about Baba, which were to remain for many years.
I'll read the footnote. Dadu's film has since been lost. Next page. Yeah.
Should I continue?
Yes.
Sarosh came to see Baba at Lonavala on the morning of the 19th of November and returned to Ahmednagar the same day. For the past few days, Baba had been discussing the idea with the Mandali of holding a mass gathering at Meherabad in February 1943. But on the 21st of November, Baba brought up a new idea. Instead of holding one gathering at Meherabad, he suggested that smaller congregations be held at 7 different places simultaneously. Baba chose Bombay, Pune, Nagpur, Hyderabad, Allahabad, Lahore, and Sholapur as central points for spreading his message. To make preparations for these gatherings, Baba decided to hold a meeting of his intimate followers on the 27th of December at Meherabad. His lovers were then invited to attend the meeting. A message titled, "We must live for God and die for God," was also dictated, printed, and circulated on the 1st of December 1942.
I'll read the footnote. 10,000 leaflets were printed. Please continue from here, Jan. Thank you.
This war is a necessary evil. It is in God's plan, which is to awaken humanity to higher values. If humanity fails to profit by the lessons of war, it will have suffered in vain. This war is teaching that even the man in the street can rise to the greatest heights of sacrifice for the sake of a selfless cause. It is also teaching that all the mundane things of the world, wealth, possessions, power, fame, family, and even the very tenor of life on earth are transitory and devoid of lasting value. The incidents of war shall, through the lessons which they bring, win over man for God, who is the truth, and they will initiate him into a new life, which is inspired by true and lasting values. People are making unlimited sacrifices and enduring untold sufferings for the sake of their country or political ideology. They are therefore capable of the same sacrifices and endurance for the sake of God or the truth. All religions have unequivocally claimed man for the life in the truth. It is sheer folly to fight in the name of religions. It is time that man had a fresh vision of the truth that all life is one, and that God is the only thing which is real and the only thing that matters. God is worth living for, and he is also worth dying for. All else is a vain and empty pursuit of illusory values. On Friday, the 4th of December, 1942, Baba left Lonavala for must work in Raipur. He returned after a week on the 10th.
Continue if it's comfortable. Yeah.
Okay, darling. Meera, Mani, and Gaime all had the experience of being bothered by a ghost at Prospect Lodge in Lonavala. When Meera was sleeping, her arm was pulled. Mani's entire body was shaken. Baba assured them, "Don't worry about it. I will take care of it." Thereafter, the ghost did not disturb anyone. Baba had freed the spirit so it could take another birth. They later found out that some years before, a laundryman had committed suicide in the well of the compound. Because of this, his spirit was hovering over the place. Baba's mercy put an end to his miserable state, and he was freed. Baba explained to the women, "Don't be afraid of ghosts. They don't do any real harm. The atmosphere is full of impressions. Sometimes when you think you feel the presence of a spirit, it isn't the actual spirit, but the impressions in the place that you feel. That is why I told you all not to go near the well where the Dhobi committed suicide. All those impressions of his are lingering there, but I have now freed his spirit, so it is all right now." Adi Senior brought his nieces, Meru, Nagu, and Tekai, to Lonavala on the 13th of December to spend their Christmas holidays with Baba. Baba permitted Meru to remain with him from then on, and she became a permanent member of the Women Mandali. The goal of her young life had been fulfilled. There's a footnote, Mona. I don't know if you wanted to read.
Yeah. I'll read that. Thank you, Jan. Meru's mother, Freni, had moved back to Nasik on December 1942, where she remained with her mother, Daulat Mai. Thank you. Yep.
Since his childhood, Savak Damania of Akbar Press, 30, had been in Baba's contact and was engaged to marry Eridge's sister, Meru. Savak had a friend named Homi Pavri who wanted to meet Meher Baba. Savak wrote to Baba at Lonavala and Baba permitted them to come. They arrived in Lonavala, but Baba sent Vishnu to stop Homi near the gate and allow only Savak to come inside. Homi had brought garlands and sweets for Baba, and Baba told him through Vishnu that he should see him from a distance and then leave. Homi accepted this, saw Baba from that distance, handed Vishnu the garlands and sweets, and started to leave. Savak turned to Baba and asked, "May I see him off at the train station?" "Is he your child?" Baba snapped. "Can he not go alone? You have come to see me and are to stay here for 4 days at a time when I am not seeing anyone, but you want to go. Go."
Thank you, Jan. Pia, would you like to read? Okay.
Jai Baba. No.
Jai Baba. Okay. Ralph, would you like to read? Okay. All right, I'll read. I want to stay, said Savak. Oh, sorry. Ralph, are you going to read today?
Uh, um, let me see if I can see the text.
All right.
I want to stay. Baba had told Savak to go on and see his friend at the train station, I think. And Savak said, I want to stay, Baba, said Savak. But what will my friend think of me? That means you think first of your friend and not of me. If you go to the station, when I want you to be here, what will I think of you? Forgive me, Baba, you are right. Baba then told him, just remember one thing. Think only of my will and don't think pleasing others. If you keep my will, and if in doing so, the whole world turns against you, you should learn to ignore it. The whole world is within me. Everything will be all right if you only think of my wish. Whatever your friend had to earn, the word is shown as EARN. Do you think that's right? Whatever your friend had to
Earn.
earn, he has earned it by seeing me briefly. Okay. There is nothing for him to think now. I'm sorry. What'd you say?
Nothing.
Okay.
Continue.
Recording. Formal engagement ceremony between Nariman and Arnavas Dada Chanji was held before Baba in Prospect Lodge on Monday, 21 December 1942. Both families were present, and Baba himself put a gold ring on Nariman's finger and one on Arnavas, uniting them in his love. They garlanded Baba together. After 1939, Baba had stopped staying at Arnavas' parents' Aroji and Bakumai Dadachanji's house in Bombay, although he would pass through Bombay occasionally in the past when he was staying with the Dadachanjis. He would always sleep in a particular room, and he had told Naroji to keep it for him. From then on, Akamai kept an oil lamp burning there throughout the day and night. When in Lonavala, Akamai asked Baba, when will you come to Bombay again? Baba replied, when Arnavas and Nariman have their own house there, I will come and stay with them. Later, it will be seen how this came to pass. The Dadachanjis left Lonavala, except for Arnavas, who stayed.
Baba returned to Mehrabad with all the men and women Mandali on 22nd December 1942, and arrangements began for the meeting on the 27th. Bendu and Padri were put in charge of the preparations, and instructions were sent to those men invited. On his return, Baba absorbed himself in his mast work. Muhammad Mast, Udairman Mastan was staying in Mehrabad.